All right, good morning, everybody. Happy December. I can't believe we already made it, and it's what we call Friday Eve. It is Thursday. Thank you all so much for taking some time today out of your schedule to hopefully learn more about ABLE, but specifically on how to maximize your ABLE account. I'm getting a message. It looks like we're having some network connection issues. So I apologize if it seems like the freeze frame is going on with the webinar. So I'll go ahead and apologize for that. But my name is John Finch. I am the director of Florida's ABLE program and called ABLE United. And I'm joined today with Johnny Lawson, who's a vice president of client services with Bank of New York Mellon and the Sumday team. So Johnny, thank you for joining.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting all of you virtually today and explaining, the benefits. John will explain initially the, ABLE United account in general, and then I will jump into, how to maximize your ABLE contributions.
Awesome, and that's perfect. And so just to, that's a great kind of overview of what we're going to hope to accomplish today. Some background on the ABLE Act, why it exists, who's eligible to have an account. So we'll kind of dig into the ABLE United details. We'll talk a little bit about public benefits, and then from there we'll turn it over to Johnny. He'll kind of walk us through managing your account, getting contributions into your account, and actually setting up a gifting page to allow third parties to put funds into your account on your behalf online. So kind of exciting things. And then if we have time, we'll do some Q&A. And so let's kind of talk about ABLE accounts. Before we do that, I want to make this a little interactive. And so I just want to get an idea of who all on today's call has an ABLE United account, whether it be you yourself, or maybe you oversee an account on behalf of somebody, or maybe you're just not eligible. You're here as a service provider, or you work with the state, just to get a sense of who all we have joining today. That would be great. So I'll give everybody a few seconds to answer that. And while we're answering that poll question, I see some of you already found the questions asked box. So go ahead. That's a great way to get your questions in. And I do see a question on audio. You can join via a phone or use your computer audio if you're having those technical difficulties. And this also will be recorded and it will be sent to you after the webinar. So let's kind of share. So how many of you have an ABLE account? A majority of you do, which is great, 51% of you. About a third no, and 20% not eligible. So that's good to know. So hopefully this information will be beneficial to you to learn more about ABLE accounts, and if you assist people or help people on how they can maximize their ABLE accounts. So let's talk about ABLE accounts and just the history of it. It started with some families who sat around a dining room table and said, hey, how can we start saving for my child for the future without impacting their government benefits? And so through that advocacy, the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act passed in 2014. This added a new section to the Internal Revenue Code, Section 529A, and basically allowed states to create tax-advantaged savings and investment accounts to be used to help improve or maintain somebody's health, independence, or quality of life. Here in the state of Florida, we are run by the Florida Prepaid College Board, which has helped over 1 million families save for higher education expenses, and they're now helping people save for disability-related expenses. Johnny, his team is with the Sumday Administration, which is our plan manager that kind of helps us run the program, and we want to make sure that this product that you see online and when you enroll is run through Johnny and his team. And so and they are affiliated with the Bank of New York Mellon. So that's kind of who Johnny is in the program we utilize to be able to bring this to you all. So let's kind of talk about who's eligible to have an ABLE United account and kind of go through the specifics. So like I said, we are the state of Florida's program, so you have to be a Florida resident at the time you apply. But the individual who actually owns the account, the beneficiary to qualify, they have to have what they call a severe type of disability that qualifies, and that disability had to occur prior to age 26. So somebody already on supplemental security income or SSDI would automatically qualify as long as that disability occurred prior to age 26. Many people who are registered with the Agency for Persons with Disabilities would automatically qualify. And it's a very broad type of disability. So you think Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, traumatic brain injuries, diagnoses that happen later in life. A lot of the mental health types of diagnoses, such as paranoid schizophrenia or those other types of psychiatric disorders, those would all qualify as long as it's a severe type of disability. And so if you're eligible to open an account, how do you go about actually establishing one? You go online. ableunited.com is our website. If you haven't gone there, please do. And that's where you would actually go to open the account, enroll, and maintain your account. And so typically it takes 15 to 20 minutes. You would go on there, you would enter the beneficiary's information. If you're doing this on behalf of somebody, we're going to require your information. And if you're doing this as a power of attorney or a guardian, we're going to require that documentation. But once again, you can do it all online, and that's how you enroll the account and manage the account. So you will need an email address to get started. So accounts open, you want to put money into it. How do you put money into it? You can do it online through a connected bank account that you will provide when you open the account, or you could send in money. We have people send in checks all the time to contribute to their account. And we're going to talk about the gifting page, which Johnny will highlight as ways to get funds into the account. And the cool thing is anybody can contribute to these accounts. So the individual themselves, parent, family, friends, businesses, organizations, it's pretty broad on the type of person that can contribute to somebody's ABLE account, but it is limited to $15,000 from all sources per calendar year. However, thanks to what they call the Able to Work Act, basically this was a piece of legislation that allowed people who are not saving for retirement to contribute above that $15,000 amount and actually use their ABLE account as a retirement account, and to be able to take advantage of the savers credit, which is a pretty unique thing. And so when somebody goes to make an online contribution when they log into their account, and we'll kind of see a slide on that, is do you want this to be a regular contribution or an Able to Work contribution, because you can really capitalize how effective and how much you're able to put away into an ABLE account. So like I said, this is a savings or investment tool, and you can do one, other, or both. And we have basically 8 pre-designed options. This says 7, but we have 7 investment options, but we also have an FDIC savings option. We have ones that are what we call that are done for you. Those are pre-designed portfolios, a conservative, moderate in growth based on your risk tolerance. Individuals can also contribute to individual underlying funds, such as a investment into a stock or a bond option managed by Vanguard, an international stock option managed by BlackRock, or that FDIC savings option. And we also have a money market option as well. And so people kind of get to choose and pick how they want to invest or save in their account. And the cool thing is when the money is taken out, you get to choose how you want that money to come out, which one of the options that you currently are invested in, how do you want that money to be pulled out? And the cool thing is that that money can grow tax-free. And so there's a potential to have tax-free earnings as long as the funds are used for qualified disability expenses. Going back one slide, I'm sorry, I forgot I had this slide in here, but talking about who owns the account, it is the individual with the disability, but somebody can open and maintain it on their behalf. And hopefully in the near future, that will be expanding as well. So what are people, they take the money out of the account, what can they use it for? And how can it be used to help better their life? And so the Treasury kind of came out with some very broad set of rules of what they call qualified disability expenses. And they gave kind of 13 broad categories, which are on the screen right here. But they include health, education, housing, transportation, legal fees, financial management, oversight, monitoring, even funeral and burial, whether that be pre or post death, which is pretty cool. I know of people who've used this to help them with employment related, whether it be getting additional training or getting them, a business suit for their job or for their interview. All that can be used out of an ABLE account, even to include basic living expenses, which could include groceries, buying your clothes, or even paying your utility bill, those kind of basic living expenses. And so as long as people are using it for what they call qualified disability expense, then it will not be counted. The earnings portion of that withdrawal would not be taxable, which is pretty cool. People say, what can you not use this account for? And that's usually things that are illegal, things that would not benefit that individual with a disability, such as giving them money away, tobacco, alcohol, those sorts of things. But if they can justify it, that it is a qualified disability expense, that it's going to help improve or maintain their independence or life quality of life, then that would be a qualified disability expense. And always keep those receipts. We're not going to ask for them, but the IRS and people on SSI might as well. So that's high level of what an ABLE account is, and we're going to dive in real quickly into how this works with public benefits. But here's a quick shot on costs associated with this account. Like we said, we're run by the state of Florida, so we really want to make this an affordable solution to Floridians. And so there is no monthly maintenance fee or application fee. When somebody does set up the account initially, there's a $25 contribution, and then any additional contributions after that, it's a $5 minimum. And if somebody wants paper statements, there's an optional fee for that. Our coolest new feature is our Visa prepaid card, which allows people to contribute to or load a reloadable debit prepaid card that can be used anywhere Visa debit cards are accepted. And then our investment options do have a fee that's taken out of the return of the product. And so you will see your returns net of fees, and our FDIC option has no fees. We're going to continue on here. I see there's a couple of questions, and like I said, we're going to try to get to those questions towards the end. And then if we do not get your question answered, we'll reach back out to you hopefully as well. So let's talk about public benefits, because that's one of the key advantages of an ABLE account, is to be able to save and keep public benefits such as Medicaid and SSI. We'll talk Medicaid first. So Medicaid is a state and federal program that helps pay for medical costs and a health insurance plan for a variety of individuals. We also here in the state of Florida have the Medicaid I-budget waiver. That's a home and community-based waiver for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities that helps provide a variety of in-house or community-based supports. And so those type of Medicaid programs have what they call a resource limit. It allows only somebody to have $2,000 in cash assets, which is not a lot. And so thanks to the ABLE Act and ABLE accounts, now money can be put into these accounts and then not count towards that $2,000 resource limit, which is pretty great. So either funds in the account or even withdrawn from the account are not considered, are not countable as a resource when determining Medicaid eligibility. We also passed recent legislation a few years ago to say that a state cannot file a Medicaid claim on an ABLE account if a beneficiary passes away. Instead, after all outstanding qualified disability expenses are paid, it would go to that designated beneficiary's estate. It's important to know that Medicaid state recovery may still take place if somebody's over the age of 55 and has no spouse or individuals with disabilities that they're taking care of. But generally, if there's any funds left, they're used to help pay for those end-of-life types of expenses. So that's important to know. Now let's switch gears to SSI, Supplemental Security Income. That is a federal program that helps, send a check for $785 or so to help pay for basic living expenses such as food, clothing, shelter. And there are some rules for that. The one big rule that prevents a lot of people from saving is that they can only have $2,000 in cash assets. Great thing is there are some additional rules, but people can put money in an ABLE account and not count towards that resource limit. But the rules are the first $100,000 in the ABLE account do not count as a resource for SSI purposes. And then also if somebody's using this for housing expenses, they just have to make sure they withdraw an expense at that month or have the ABLE account pay it directly because if it's housing related expenses and it's withheld past the end of the month, it would count as a resource beginning of the next month. So there's some additional rules. I always encourage people, hey, if you have an ABLE account and are receiving supplemental security income, visit the POMS manual. You can do a Google search, type in, SSI and ABLE accounts or Social Security Administration and ABLE accounts, and you should get a link to this POMS that kind of walks you through how Social Security treats ABLE accounts. And if you're on SSI and you make a withdrawal, make sure you have the documentation on why that's a qualified disability expense, because Social Security Administration will ask SSI recipients. And I know that was a ton of information, and so hopefully we'll get to your questions towards the end of this, but I do want to take the bulk of the rest of the time here and kind of turn this over to Johnny to talk about, how do I maximize my account? How do I put money into the account? And then how do I launch a gifting page to allow other people to, give funds to me without negatively impacting my benefits? So John, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to you.
Sure. Thank you. And John, if you just want to flip to the next screen. Yep. For those of you that have an account, you would first sign into your account. And for those that don't have an account, you would first need to establish an account. And as part of that process, you would create a login ID and a password that you would use each and every time to log into your Able United account. Once you sign into your account, this is what you're going to see from an account view perspective. It's broken up into 6 different tiles. In the left-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, you'll see the total balance in your Able United account. In the center column, you'll see your 2020 contributions. So at any point in time, if you have not maxed out, met the maximum for the year, you can see, okay, I've contributed, or somebody from a gifting perspective has contributed, in this example, $11,040 as part of the standard contribution for the year. And then also in this example, from an able to work perspective, John described earlier that if the beneficiary works and they are not, or their employer is not contributing to some sort of retirement plan, a 401k plan, a 403b plan, etc., and that person earns income, then they can also contribute up to $12,490 per year, or the amount they actually earn. So if a person only earned $6,000 a year, then they could only contribute $6,000 from an able to work perspective. All accounts, though, are eligible for the full $15,000 from a standard contribution perspective. For those of you that actually have an account, if you haven't maxed out and you're have additional funds, if you make those contributions prior to the end of the year, then you can max out to the $15,000 for 2020, and then on January 1st, those amounts get reset to 0. So if you sign into your account on January 1st of 2021, these amounts will all reflect 0, and it will open the ability to reach the maximums for the year as well. What else is here? Yep, from making contributions, 2 options here. You can make a one-time contribution. So today I want to invest, as an example, $500 into my account. I would click one-time contribution. It would ask me to link to my bank account if it's not already set up. And then with that, we would pull $500 from your bank account, and it would be invested into the Able United account. The other option, which kind of set it and forget it, is the recurring monthly contribution. What this is on a given day each month, we would invest X amount based off of what you set as part of the setup into the Able United account. This is great from an SSI perspective. So if every month you're exceeding the SSI amount by $250, what you can do is set up the Able United account to have a systematic investment of $250 every month, so that you're not looking at the end of the month, what can I do with this extra money in my bank account in order to disqualify me from an SSI perspective. So it's an easy way to set it, forget it, and you would see the money grow within your Able United account. With all contributions made to the account, whether it's a one-time contribution, it's a systematic contribution, or even a gifting contribution made by another person, you will receive an email once that contribution has posted into the Able account. We talked a little bit earlier about the types of contributions, whether it's a standard contribution or an Able to Work contribution. So this screen here, you would just click on which type of investment you would actually like to make. You also select the portfolio. As John described earlier, there's 8 different portfolio options that you can invest in. Here, this account currently has a growth portfolio and an FDIC savings portfolio, but you can also click to add a new investment, and it just has the minimum initial contribution in order to do that. And then with that, you would receive a confirmation screen just detailing the transaction that you've previously entered for you to confirm everything is correct. And then the systematic is set up and will pull starting the next month. And John, I'm not sure if there's a, yep, oh, here we go. So from a gifting, so from the main page, John, can you back up one screen? Yep. So here, this account is already set up, like in the middle of the page, 2020 gifts. You'll see that this account has 0. But as people make contributions into your ABLE account, it would actually reflect that. And the first time you sign in, it will allow you to set up that gifting page. And yep, and there you can set a gifting limit. And you may ask why, why a person may want to set a gifting limit. The reason for we, include this is if every month you know that you have an additional $1,000 that needs to be invested in order to not impact your SSI, with that, in total, that would add up to $12,000 per year. So this feature allows, from a gifting perspective, others to only contribute $3,000 to not exceed the $15,000. So you would set the gifting limit to $3,000. There's an option here that you can show the gifters the progress that's making. We do not show the actual dollar amount, but we do show a percentage of the gifting amount goal for the year that would be viewable through the gifter. You also, as part of setting up the gifting page, you would select which investment option you would want all gifting contributions to go to. You're only allowed to set up one investment option for the gifting portion. So in this example here, a person could select the FDIC option or the growth option. And you, as the beneficiary or account owner of the ABLE United account, would make that selection as to where that money goes. Once you do that, you would hit review, which would take you to a next page.
I'm getting there.
Yep, very good. So this is the final page. And then once you hit go live, you will actually receive a link that you can share with others. And you can share it via email. You can share it through social media, your Facebook page, a Twitter account, etc. And then from there, your family, your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, whomever, they can make contributions into your ABLE account through clicking on that link. There is a couple options for them. They can link their bank account to your account. You would not be able to see their banking information, but for our purposes, we would have access to their bank information in order to pull, as an example, I want to make a $100 contribution into my nephew's ABLE United account. I would go into the link that you would receive, click on that, and add my banking information. And as part of the process, it would pull $100 from my bank account and deposit it into my nephew's ABLE United account. And as the ABLE account owner or beneficiary, you will receive confirmation once that contribution has posted to your account. So you would receive where that money, there's an option. A person can make it anonymous, or they can say where the money came from. So, Uncle Johnny can, tell, my nephew Thomas that $100 was made on behalf of Johnny into Thomas's ABLE United account, or you can make it anonymous. A person can make an anonymous contribution into an ABLE United account. The other option is John talked about contribution forms. So as a user, you can make contributions through a form. However, if maybe a grandparent doesn't have access to a computer and they still want to make a contribution into Thomas's ABLE United account, we do have a gifting form out on the ABLE United website that you are able to print out, hand to them. They can fill it out, include a check, and then thank you, John. Yep.
Yeah, so actually, good news, Johnny. So my friend came through and he sent me his link to his gifting page. So
awesome,
when somebody has it all set up, this is what it's going to kind of look like. You see, this is for Sean. It even allows them. So if I wanted to share out Sean's information, I could, but you hit make a contribution, and that's pretty cool because you can select the occasion. So, happy holidays, optional if you want your name, or you can keep anonymous. The contribution, if you want to do it via bank account, or a debit card, up to you. You can do that, and then that's where you'll get the thing. And then also even gives you a link to the gifting form on there. So if you don't want to do the online contribution, which I think Johnny was talking about, and that's available on our website as well. So good news. And with that, Johnny, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to ask a poll because I just want to get a feeling for how many of you have actually set up, if you have an account, how many of you actually set up your gifting page? If you've already done that, if you haven't, I just be getting an interesting, just a little stat here. And Johnny and I were talking about this prior, was if we could get a report to see how many people actually have set up a gifting page. But hopefully you all do it. I mean, it's free, it's easy, it's a couple of steps, and it's just a great way to allow friends, families, and others to say, hey, on the college side of the house, I actually set it up for my kids. So when grandparents are like, well, what do I give my kids? I'm like, pay for their college. Here's a link, and they can do that online, which they have done. So I'll go ahead and close that, open it up, and share. So a lot of you have homework today. A lot of you, 11% have set it up, 51% no. So I encourage all of you, if you haven't, go and do that. But thank you, John. I think that was really great. Just a ton of information. I know we have several questions that have come through. And so I want to get to some of them, and we'll start off from the beginning here. Somebody had a question, says, I have a check that is payable to my daughter for whom this account was open. How do I deposit it into their account? So this is probably a common question you might receive, Johnny. So somebody has a check, it's mailed to their daughter, and they want to go ahead and put that over to their ABLE United account. How do they go about doing that?
Yeah, in that example, you would first deposit that check and then send us a check. We do not accept third-party checks where a grandparent makes the check payable to a grandson, granddaughter, and then in turn endorsing that over to ABLE United. In that example, you would deposit that check in your account and then either make an online contribution or send us a check from your bank account.
And that's a good point to make. So when somebody does contribute, they're actually making that check out to ABLE United, payable to, and then it's actually in the memo line, you would put the account number, for example. But we also have a contribution form on our website that kind of outlines that. That's a question I've gotten in the past as well.
But in that case, though, if you set up a gifting page, you can give that grandparent, that link, and then they can make the contribution online, and it would automatically go into your son, daughter's ABLE United account without you having to, remember to send that check into ABLE United.
Yes, that's a good point. And there's a a couple questions about the investment and savings options. So I always tell people, definitely check out our website. On there, you're going to be able to learn more about the investment options, their performance as well, and kind of see what our current options are. So for example, I could show this real quick. So for example, if I wanted to, let's see, make sure I'm sharing the right thing here. So on here, it kind of shows you our performance at the end of October, historically, where it's been for 1 year since inception. And so people had some additional questions on if there's options for, additional options out there. And this is currently what our lineup is. We do plan on reviewing our current investment lineup annually. And so I know the director of finance here at the Florida Prepaid College Board is working with our investment manager to do that early next year. Some other questions here. People want to, they say they have an expense coming up, they want to have a check be sent. How they go about doing that? So how can they have a check sent out to a third party or to housing?
Sure. There's also within the website, there is a form for sending a check to a third party. In addition, if it's less than a certain dollar amount, then you can also do that online.
That's a good question. Individual, I had a question about, I see that we're a little over time, so I'm gonna get to 2 more questions. There's just some really good questions on here. And if we don't get to your question, I'll try to do my best to reach back out to you before Monday of next week. What happens, what rules apply if you're no longer on SSI and then you move over to Social Security? So regular Social Security or Social Security disability insurance, which is based on either a family member's work history, like a survivor benefit. The great thing is those are earned benefits. So ABLE accounts are not, they don't take those into consideration because it's earned based on somebody's work history, and resources are not looked at. So for Social Security purposes, there are no additional rules. And I'll answer one more question that I talked about. Some questions about funds. Okay, so unemployment funds, or if I work and I contribute those types of funds into an ABLE account, is it still count as earned income? And the answer is yes. So the question is, if I work full time and I put all my money into my ABLE account, does that still count as earned income? And does that still impact my SSI benefits? The case is yes. So ABLE accounts shelter resources. They don't shelter earned or typical unearned income. So for example, child support benefits, if they're paid directly into the ABLE account, those would still count as unearned benefits when it comes to eligibility for Medicaid or SSI type of benefits. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Johnny, I wanted to thank you so much for taking your time today, and thank everybody who attended. Hopefully you found this informative and you learned a little bit more about the ABLE program and about how you can maximize an ABLE United account. And with that, I wish you all a happy holiday. Stay safe and well, and keep warm in this chilly weather for Florida. So thank you all, and thank you, Johnny.
You're welcome. Thank you.